Welcome back to my kitchen. Today I'm going to show you how I make my rum bread pudding. So first, for starters, you want to make sure that you soak your fruit. All right. If you don't like fruit, you can make your bread pudding without it. So I have a cup of raisins here that I already soaked overnight in about 2/3 cup of rum. So, Appleton special. So I use Appleton Jamaican rum. You can use any dark rum, but this is my favorite to use. And after you soak the raisins in the rum, you drain them out. So I have a pan here of bread that I have torn to pieces. So I don't, I went to BJ's and I bought their Puerto Rican bread. It comes 2 in a loaf, and I used about 1 1/3 loaf. If you are going to use Italian bread or French bread, you want to use maybe about 1.5 loaves. But you don't want to get the small loaves, you want to get the long ones. Now, next thing you're gonna do, you take the bread and you literally just rip it in pieces, right? This is something fun that you can do with the kids, right? Who doesn't want to tear stuff up? So they can tear up the bread, right? And you put it in the pan. So you want to use old bread. It shouldn't be fresh. It should be kind of stale. This bread is kind of hard now, you know. It works best with stale bread, but you can use fresh bread as well, of course. All right, now, so you soak the raisins. These raisins actually have been soaking for like 2 days because I got really busy and I wasn't able to record on the day that I wanted to. So you can just imagine the fragrance that's coming off at me right now. And yeah, this is gonna be really, really good. Like really, really good. Okay, so for starters, I'm going to take the raisins and I'm just going to put them over the breadcrumbs, right? And they are going to get mixed around. And I don't know why I keep saying breadcrumbs and these are not breadcrumbs, right? So when you drain the raisins off, you're gonna be left with this nice rum raisiny syrup. Oh yeah, oh yeah. And it's gonna be really good. So you'll be tempted to drink it, but don't drink it. What you're going to do is you're going to actually add it to your liquids to help flavor them up, all right? So what I like to do, I like to add just a little bit extra rum. That can't hurt now, can it? So, you know, my mom always say, oh, do a little cap, and then she do a cap, and then the cap becomes way more than a cap. So just do a little splash, right? A little splash of the Appleton, right? So, and then here I have 3 eggs in my bowl, and you're gonna just lightly beat them a little bit, because you don't want them like whipped to like air and fluffy, but you want to break the yolk. And you just want to, you know, mix them around until they look like they're all together. I've also added 2 teaspoons of vanilla already to my mixture. All right? Guys, if you can only smell what I'm smelling right now, this is gonna be so good. All right. So now I already have pre-measured, right? 3 cups of whole milk and 1 cup of heavy cream, okay? And then I'm going to add my little rum inside of my milk and cream mixture, right? And then I'm going to add that to the eggs. Okay. I'm just gonna use my spoon, mix that around a little bit. Okay. So the next thing that we're gonna add in here is I have a cup of white sugar and 3/4 cup of brown sugar. It could be dark brown, light, really doesn't matter. Okay, so I'm just gonna add that in here. And we're gonna mix it up. So that was brown sugar, white sugar, and we need a pinch of salt. I forgot to get the salt. Be right back. So you're gonna add some salt in here to balance off all of your sugar sweetness. And I'll put the measurements in the recipe below for you guys. So we're just gonna mix this around to try to dissolve and dilute everything. Now we're also going to add a tablespoon of molasses. So the thing with molasses is it gets very, very sticky, right? So what I'm going to do, which is a little trick that I've, developed from years of doing this, is if you want something sticky like molasses to easily come off of your spoon, you're gonna soak it in, well, not soak it, but like kind of dip it into some type of oil or fat. So this is 1 stick of melted butter. It's gonna go into our recipe. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to dip my tablespoon in it first and just like mix it around a little bit. So now this is nice and greasy, right? So when I add my molasses into the liquid mixture, it's not gonna have a hard time, or I'm not gonna have a hard time, right, getting the molasses out of the tablespoon. So here's where we go. So you need a tablespoon of this. So let's pour this in. All right. And then I'm just gonna go like this and squeeze it out. And look at that. Almost all of the molasses, like, look, and if you work with molasses, it's really sticky, and this molasses is like not there. All right. So now we're just gonna mix this around, because I want everything to nicely dissolve. When everything is mixed in, I'm gonna mix in my butter. And I use a stick of unsalted butter. I always bake with unsalted because you control your salt content when you use unsalted. So you mix until you know everything is fully dissolved. Adding in the butter now. Now, depending on the temperature of your milk and your cream, your butter will either nicely mix in, or you'll see that it'll start to form like little butter flakes because the liquid is colder than the temperature that it is, and that's okay. It'll all still mix up and be very, very delicious in your bread pudding. All right, so mixing it in. So this is good. So now, time to pour the liquid mixture over your bread and raisins mixture, okay? And you want to take your time and do this. And if you feel like you might spill it, you can use a ladle and just drop it in little by little. All right, so I'm just gonna pour it over. I'm gonna move it back and forth. And I'm gonna pour it around. All right. And then any little stuff that's stuck in the bowl, get your rubber spatula and you just take it all out. All right. See, I had just a little bit of brown sugar in here, so I'm just working it out. You know, the thing with brown sugar is when you buy the packed brown sugar, sometimes it could be a little lumpy in some areas and you won't really know till after you start using it. So I'm gonna leave those few lumps right there, so I don't need that. All right, so now with the bread pudding, we got everything together, but we got to mix it together because remember our raisins are on top and everything. So we're gonna start from the bottom, we're gonna lift, and we're gonna move it over. All right, start from the bottom, lift, and move over. Start from the bottom, lift, move over, and you just want to get it on all the sides, right? Move the pan around. You want to make sure you get everywhere. So you're going to let this sit for about an hour, actually, okay? It's going to sit for an hour before you put it in the oven to bake it. So I'm going to let it sit, then I'm going to come back and show you guys how I bake it, okay? Because this is actually going to be baked in a double boiler, all right? Sorry, not a double boiler, a water bath, and you'll see what that is. So you want to mix it around so you know that all the pieces of bread have been, you know, soaked and touched by the liquid, right? And you're gonna come back and check on this within the hour, maybe 2 times, maybe every 20 minutes you come through and you give it a little mix just to make sure everything is nice and evenly distributed. But the only way to make sure that our liquid mixture really gets in there and soaks up inside is if we let it sit, because that's how everything is gonna come together. All right, so now that I've mixed it around, I'm just gonna pat it down. All right, so it's nice and flat, and everything is gonna like set nicely. The bread, because it's nice and dry, right, is gonna soak up all of this liquid because it's loving it right now, like an ashy elbow with some fresh lotion. You know what I mean? So it's just soaking it all up because this bread was dry, crusty, and stuff. So, you know, and then this mixture just made it beautiful. All right. So I'm gonna bring you in for a little bit closer look so you can see what it is. So just take a look right there. All right, that's what it looks like, and I'll be back. So I just placed the bread pudding in the oven in the double pan, and now I'm pouring water into the pan. This is going to prevent the top of the bread pudding from burning.